gosh, I forgot that I have this. I cannot believe it is that time of the month again. Honestly, I love this time of the month. What time of the month am I talking about? Well, obviously you know because of the title of the video, but it is time to read somebody's top 5. And I'm super excited because I'm doing Faith Reads. And I messaged her on Instagram, which is where I message everybody. I messaged her, I asked her for a list of her faves. She gave me quite the list. Actually, she's probably my favorite person that I've messaged because she gave me a good list, and then she also like classified them, so that was very helpful. I got to like pick and choose throughout, and there were a couple books on there that I've already read and already gave 5 stars. So I'm very, very thrilled by all of this, because if her 5 stars are similar to my 5 stars, then I'm pretty sure her 5 stars will also be similar to my 5 stars. And that's exciting. Let's look at the books. Okay, I picked 3. I have in the past picked 4, but I find that that is kind of a lot. So I've picked 3 books, and I think I did a pretty good selection. This book, the Shatter Me series, I have the entire series, and I've always wanted to get into that, and I feel like this is a really good time to kind of dip my toes in. So I chose the Shatter Me series. This is a YA dystopian, and I love a good YA dystopian, okay? Divergent, that was my jam. Okay, back in the day, I love Divergent. I just recently read Hunger Games, the whole thing, when the movie came out, and so that was really fun. I love a good dystopian book, and so I think I'm very excited about the Shatter Me books. And then I got Dial A for Aunties because I've heard nothing but good things, and I accidentally bought the 4 Aunties in a Wedding, not knowing that this is the sequel to this, and so I'm excited that I got this one, okay? And then I also chose The Housemaid, and this one is actually an OG book that I purchased in my very first YouTube video. So I had to choose this one because in my very first YouTube video, I quite frankly said,
is she the bad guy or are they the bad guy? I want to know. I'm excited to read this.
And I never did. So how many months ago was my first YouTube video? Almost a year ago. So I wanted to read this one as well. And I thought that this would be a very fun selection. I actually have read the prologue to this one because it is on what is it on? Kindle Unlimited. It's on Kindle Unlimited. And so I started the prologue to this one, and then I'm going to read these as well. And that is what we're going to do. I don't know how much filming I'm going to get in of me reading because my mother had her hip replaced, and so I have also been playing nurse over at her house, and I'm actually about to go back over to her place. I just came home to like see my husband and see my dogs and animals and all that stuff, so I have to go back over there now and do some of that stuff, but I will try and film what I can. I'm just letting you know now that it might be a little bit sporadic, just in case you were wondering, like, why am I not getting the montages that I'm used to? That would be why. So anyways, let's go. Well, actually, let's not go read. Let's go back to my mom's house, and then when she's napping, we can read. Okay. I am back home now after spending the day at my parents' house. I did finish a book though, so that was exciting, but there's not a lot of footage of me reading that book because a lot of it was done during like brief periods here and there and all that other stuff, and I didn't have time to like set up every single time. So I did read though, and I finished The Housemaid, and honestly, I was not expecting a lot of the things that ended up happening. I was reading this book, and I think when I got to like the 40% mark, I was like, this book is not what I thought it was gonna be. I thought that it was a thriller at first, and when I read like the first 40%, I was like, oh, maybe it's not a thriller. And then very quickly it was a thriller. And I was like, oh, it is a thriller book. Okay, great, fantastic. This was so well done because I truly, when I got to the second half of the book, I was like, oh, this goes to show how brilliant all of the writing is, because you spend a good portion of the time in the maid's point of view, and so you are seeing everything that's happening through the maid's eyes, if you will, and I was not expecting the second half of this. It was really well done. The writing is immaculate. The characters are flawless. I think that Millie, you meet Millie, she's our main character, she's the housemaid, and she is straight out of prison. She's just been fired from her previous job, but they didn't press charges, and her parole officer is just like kind of a nice person, like really is trying hard with her, really believes in her. Her parents have given up on her. She's living in the backseat of her car, which is against her parole. And so, but she's trying so hard to not go back to prison, and she gets hired as Nina and Andrew Winchester's housemaid. And like quickly, things are weird between her and Nina, and you have this like very strange, like Nina is just like all over the place. She's like insane. Like she's just like throwing things around, like saying stuff that is not true whatsoever, and just being overall bizarre behavior. Andrew is this like incredible guy, incredible husband, so sweet, just so attentive to his wife, just like over and above, you know? And so, yeah, like the characters in this book, they also have, so Nina has a daughter named Cecilia, and she's also a whole character in this book as well. I think she does a brilliant job writing like this young girl's character, and just all the things that Cecilia brought to the table. I think that Frida McFadden did such a superb job writing this little girl in. Overall, was a really great book. It's like all the characters, every little bit of this book was so well written, down to like the very first page of the book, down to like every small detail that you kind of gloss over when you're reading it, and you figure out like towards the end, like, oh, that was a significant detail. How could I have missed this? Overall, great first choice. Great, great, great first read. Fantastic. I'm so excited about this. I'm gonna give this, I don't want to give it 5 stars because I do feel like bamboozled in the best of ways, but I was bamboozled. And so for the first, probably at least I noticed for the first 26%, I was like, when are we getting to the point? Like, I'm really confused. When are we getting to the point? Because right now it just reads like a lot of other books that I've read in the past, where it's like mean people, she has an affair. Like, I kind of was like, oh, maybe it's just like a literary fiction, contemporary fiction type of thing. Like, maybe it's one of those books. So I will say for the first 26%, that's what I thought it was. I didn't realize that it was really setting it up for the remainder of the book. I don't know how you could change the first 26% because it was so brilliantly done that is why it worked so well. Like, that's why you were so caught off guard and bamboozled. So I think maybe 4.75 stars, because you have to get past the first part of the book. Like, you have to, in order for it all to, like, for all the cards to align and for you to really truly appreciate this book, you have to get past the first part. But if you go into this thinking like, oh, this is a thriller book, and it starts to read like a contemporary fiction, I feel like that's going to make people be like, oh, is this worth going? Unless you know someone who's read the book and they're like, no, 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 you have to finish the book. You have to. So unless you've seen a review, I don't think if I picked this up on my own and hadn't heard anyone to recommend it, I don't know if I would have made it past the first 26%. You know what I'm saying? So for that, I'm gonna say 4.75, because it was brilliantly laid out, but you have to get past that first hurdle. So that's the only thing. I started Dial A for Aunties pretty much right after I had finished The Housemaid. I just picked up this book and started it, but I haven't gotten that far in. I am on page 8. So I'm 8 pages in. We are not that far. However, I am exhausted and ready to go to sleep. I do have to wake up and go back over to my parents' house. So I'm probably going to go to bed early. I don't even know what time it is. It's 9:48, it's not even early. So I'll probably go to bed around in like 12 minutes. So I don't think I'm gonna read any bit more of this, maybe a couple pages, but probably not like a good portion of it to report back. We're gonna read this tomorrow though and check in. Again, this is not that big of a book, so it shouldn't take me too long. The Housemaid took me about 4 hours to read just because like I was reading that book pretty quickly. This book is 295 pages, so I'll probably read this in like 5 hours. So I'll probably read this tomorrow, and then we'll read the last book, Shatter Me, either also tomorrow or the day after. Just because these are kind of quick reads for me, and I enjoy reading. And I have a lot of time on my hands, so a lot of it is just my mom sleeping. So, but yeah, we're gonna get as much as we can done. I apologize. Okay, listen. I had my hair in braids earlier, and then I took the braids out and I kept playing with my hair. I don't know about any of you, but I, for whatever reason, I love playing with my hair. I like massaging my scalp, and when it's in a braid, I can't do it as well. So I literally will sit there and like watch Law and Order and just do this to my head like the whole time and just like massage it because it feels so nice. But then my hair ends up looking like this. So no judgment. I did finish Dial A for Aunties though, and this was so funny. This was such a funny book. I honestly like was so confused a lot of the time because I was like, this is so improbable, like none of this is happening. But it was such a good time. I laughed nonstop, just constant laughter all the time. I thought this was fantastic. This story is about a lot of different things. It's about that you've got our main character, okay, Maddie, and she and her mom and her other 3 aunts basically live in spitting distance of each other, and they have this family business. And I thought it was interesting how they do this, and then it's like 6 years later, or 6 years before, and, or earlier, there you go, that's the word that I was looking for, 6 years earlier, all right, I think it was 7 years actually, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, yes, okay, so that's 8 years ago, and then present day, and then it goes to 7 years ago. Okay, yeah, so it's, prologue is 8 years, and then present day is chapter 1, and then chapter 2 is 7 years prior. And I thought that was interesting to get a look of like her past, because you really saw who she was away from her family and who she was with her family and how important family was to her. But anyways, they have this family business, and they have this like, they basically do weddings. And the 4th aunt, she is a singer, and she's a little bit famous in the Asian community. And then her mom, who's the 3rd aunt, she does the flowers and stuff like that. And then 2nd aunt does the hair and makeup, and big aunt, the 1st one, she does the cake, and then Maddie does the photography. And they have this family business, and they have this family curse that happens where all the men in their lives always end up leaving them. And it's just like this family curse and all this stuff. And Maddie in college gets close to this guy. His name's Nathan. He's basically perfect. And then at the end of college, he gets a job in New York City and he asks her to come with him. And all she can think of is she's gonna have to leave her family. She can't, after everything they've been through, she can't leave them. And so she breaks up with him. And then they're doing this wedding and her mom sets her up on this blind date with this guy who owns the hotel that they are going to this wedding for. And she ends up killing him by accident. It's an accident, okay? He starts making very inappropriate comments and gestures and he's not getting the hint. She's telling him, no, this is not happening. And he's driving a car and he's like, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna do this and we're gonna do this and da 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 da. So she tases him and they get into a car accident and she's like, oops. And the whole, oh, I'm getting a phone call. Sorry about that. So I forgot where I was at, but yeah, so she goes on this blind date. She actually accidentally tases the man and they get into a car accident and he's bleeding out of his ear and like, but her aunts all combine together and they're just like, don't worry, we'll take care of this. Like, it's gonna be fine. And she's like, what? And they're like, yeah, don't worry, we're family. It's gonna be fine. And one thing leads to another. Let me just tell you, the comedy in this, it was hilarious. As someone, both of my parents are immigrants, and so I can attest to having family members who don't speak English very well, who use English incorrectly constantly. My English is not the best. I get pointed out all the time when I say things incorrectly. Like, people always be like, oh, no, that's not what you mean to say. And it happens often. It happens when I forget an English word and I can't remember what I'm trying to, I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know the word for it in English. And that happens throughout this book. And I just related to that. I laughed so hard, so many times. I thought this was so fantastic. I really loved each aunt's rivalry. That is definitely a thing that happens on my dad's side. My mom was born in Japan, my dad was born in Greece, and let me tell you, the Greek family, constant yelling, and not always like a bad yelling. Like, it's not like we're arguing, we're just always yelling. Like, we always are yelling. I constantly am being told, like, especially when I get very excited about something, my husband's always like, you are yelling, and I'm just like, I can't help it. So yeah, I loved just the representation done in this book. It was so well done and hilarious. I cannot stress it enough. It was so funny. Everything about this was so funny and I had such a good time. I'm really glad that this was a choice. I think I'm gonna give it rating time. Oh gosh. I don't feel like this was a 5-star for me particularly. I think it could be a 5-star for many people, but I'm somebody who's like, one, I'm a harsh rater. 2, I don't like to rate books 5 stars immediately after reading them. I like to process it a little bit and see, like, if I think about this often. I think I'm gonna give it a 4-star. I think I'm gonna keep it at a 4-star right now. Yeah, I'm gonna say 4 stars. I'm gonna say 4 stars. I thought this was really good book. It didn't give me 5-star vibes, but I did really like it. And this is honestly one of the only books that has social media in it. And it's not like social media is in it, but like there's a dating app in it. And this was one of the first times that I was reading a book and I wasn't taken out of the book because it was very much real life. And I think that has to do with the way that it went about and how you have, you know, immigrant parents and aunts and family members who don't understand social media. And so it was just hilarious. There's a lot of slang. There's mentions of eggplant emojis and oh my gosh, it was so funny. She was like, he said he wanted to cook you eggplant. And she's like, what? Why would he say that? And she was like, I don't know, he sent me eggplant emoji and I told him that's your favorite. And she's like, no, that's not what that means. And so it was so funny. I laughed so hard. So yes, I do think that this is such a great book. And with that, I am going to read the last book, which is Shatter Me. I don't have it with me right now. It's in my bag. I have to go to run to the doctor's really fast, but I'll probably read there. I'm probably just going to like sit in the waiting room and just read there and get some of Shatter Me read, and then I'll finish it later today. Okay? Sounds good. Hi. So I don't know how to review this because I don't know anything. I was like, okay, so I will say I already know certain spoilers that come up in this book, but I like Adam and I'm so confused. I'm so confused because I like Adam. Why don't we like Adam? I don't understand. Anyways, I like Adam. So this book starts off with our main character, Juliet, and she is in this like prison, dungeon, insane asylum type-esque thing. And she gets a roommate, and that would be Adam Kent, and he comes in and he is strikingly gorgeous. And oh, it turns out that he's actually a soldier, so he was sent there by Warner, who sends him down to basically spy on Juliet and make sure that she's not volatile, because he needs her for the war that's happening right now. And so Warner basically tells Juliet, like, if you help me out, you will get everything that you've ever wanted. Like, I just need you standing next to me. So the reason why Juliet is not a like safe option is because a touch of her, like if she touches you, you will die. You just will die. So she's kind of like Rogue in X-Men. Like she can't touch anyone. And yeah, so that happens. And these characters are complex. They are not straightforward. There's so much going on throughout the whole book, and I don't want to spoil anything because there's things that I already know about because I have seen them on like Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikTok or whatever. Like I've seen stuff that correlate, or even just like comments. Like I have seen people flat out spoil all of Shatter Me in comments, and I don't think that that's necessarily the worst thing ever, because Shatter Me is an old book. Like this book was published, when was it even published? A while ago though. Like early 2000s, I want to say. 2011. Yeah, so this book has been out for over 10 years. That would be like if somebody wrote a comment and was like, did you know in Harry Potter, like when his parents died, people were like, what? I didn't know his parents died. Like, you know, it's just like one of those things, you know? And it's like, I guess that's not a very good spoiler because that's literally like the whole premise of Harry Potter. But like, you understand what I'm saying. Like if somebody said a spoiler from Harry Potter and like everybody went wild and crazy and was like, how could you do that? Like, why would you spoil it? People haven't read the book. And it's like, listen, like I'm not saying that this book came out 2 years ago. I'm saying this book came out when you were born. So you had a whole generation to read this book. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad whenever I see those comments and I'm like, oh, that's a spoiler. I haven't read that book yet. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I don't get angry or anything like that. To be fair, I forgot most of it. I was very thrilled to see some of the characters that I do kind of sort of know about in the later part of this book. For instance, I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, what was his name? Kenji. I like Kenji. He's fun. He's a funny dude. I really like him. He's a good guy. And yeah, he's perfect. I like him a lot. And I don't really know how else to say anything else. I think this book is a 4.5. I think this book is a 4.5. I really like it, and I'm so excited to continue the series. So I'm glad that I started it. I'm glad that I started it now. Yeah, it's a really fun first book. I really like the YA dystopian type of thing, and they've kind of got powers, and they're like the X-Men, but they're not the X-Men. And I don't know. That's very fun to me. So yeah. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm also very, very tired right now. I have been up for a very long time, okay? I had to get up at 5, and the chickies, they were not very happy because they tipped over their food thingy sometime yesterday, and so I came in this morning and they were not happy about it. So there was a lot of chores that had to be done today. And it's also starting to warm up outside, so I had to like start prepping the garden. I haven't really done much of anything other than like make sure that there's nothing that shouldn't be in there, if that makes sense. If you live on a homestead or a farm, you understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes things just, in the wintertime, sometimes things just happen. We did have a couple windstorms, and then it snowed promptly afterwards, so I found like a shingle to the roof in there. It was great. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I read these 3 books. I just want to take a nap, guys. I read these 3 books courtesy of Faith Reads. If you don't know who Faith Reads is, please go check her out. I was so thrilled to get these, and I really loved all of these books. So if you are interested in watching more stuff like this, like, please go ahead and subscribe, comment. Actually, please, because I am running out of people to message on Instagram. So if you could please drop down like who you want to see me do next, like another booktuber that you think would be like really fun to do, please, please, please leave that down in the comments down below. I will of course reach out to them and DM them. I will say some people are easier to DM than others, because like if you sent me like, I don't know, what's like somebody that if you sent me like Haley Pham and you were like, oh, you should do Haley Pham. Haley Pham has 3 million subscribers. So it's hard to DM her because the likelihood of her seeing the DM, that decreases in odds. But if you send me another like smaller creator, of course, I will definitely reach out to them, especially since I am currently a small creator. So it's always fun. It's very fun to like do these things and like read other books that people adore. And I especially love when like I have the book already. That's really fun. I will say the one that I'm doing in March, I didn't have a single one of her books that she had on her list. So I had to go a little book shopping, which doesn't count for the book buying ban. It doesn't count. We're doing a year-long book buying ban. That doesn't count because it's for work. It's ¿cómo se dice? It's when, ¿cómo se dice when like you, oh, expense. It's a work expense. There we go. Ha ha ha. Yes, that was a work expense, so it doesn't count as towards the book buying ban. Okay? Okay. Anyways, that's all I have. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, wherever you are, and I will see you guys in the next one. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I can't remember, so if there's like a little like list of like thank yous at the end of this, like mind your own. Just read it and pretend that I said it to you guys. Okay, bye.